This is Papa Smurf. You're listening to Our Lifestyle, the podcast, with ODB and the Mayor.
Hey, it's ODB. You're listening to Our Lifestyle Podcast, also known as OLP. This podcast is brought to you by the fine folks over at Custom Car Show Productions. They have 3 events now. They've had multiple over the years, including their flagship event every June in Biloxi, Mississippi, which is scraping the coast. They now also partner up with Sean Randall and team for Bayou Showdown. That's every November, the weekend before Thanksgiving in Slidell, Louisiana. And don't forget, they team up with Keg Media and team for Orange Beach Invasion. That's typically every March in simply Orange Beach, Alabama. Orange Beach Invasion. Stay on the rise. Enjoy this episode. Yo, it's Our Lifestyle Podcast, episode 305. Thanks for everyone for coming back and rocking with us. We got a jam-packed episode, and I want to thank, again, Custom Car Show Productions. Their next 2 events, one the weekend before Thanksgiving, Slidell, Louisiana. That's this year. And then, of course, into next year, towards the end of March, they did announce March 24th through the 26th in Orange Beach, Alabama, at the Wharf, Orange Beach Invasion 2023. We're looking forward to both of these. Much more to come. Big ups to Custom Car Show Productions. So, Miggity Mike the Mayor is out again. Like I said, dude, the guy does not stop gallivanting. If he's not gallivanting city to city, event to event, then he is focused on something called fantasy football. Now, he keeps saying somehow that helps OLP, and I was like, I just nod along going, yeah, Mike, that's exactly what our listeners want to hear about, pro football talk. I mean, let's be honest, right? I said, next we might as well go to guns, wrestling, fishing, maybe some politics, and then we'll really get the listener base, ramped up with more listeners. Anyways, he is out. This week I had kind of a shorter window to get all the recordings done, so I wanted to get it done now. At the end of the week is Mom Duke's birthday, a.k.a. Born Day, so we're going to be peeling away, doing a little bit of family stuff kind of towards the end of the week, so I need to keep this stuff focused towards the beginning of the week. So again, thanks for everyone for coming back. If you are here because of Mark, or you just found us because the homies, the senoritas, the chicas, told you about it, then please subscribe and or follow. It's totally free, as you know. Now on this episode, we are going to have Mark Bishop. Mark is maybe a name that you don't know depending on where you live, but Mark is a hardcore mini trucker, literally. We'll see how that ties in a little bit later. He's been doing the damn thing. I exchanged messages with him here and there. Last time we really sat down was at Made of Steel back in May here in Central Florida. He's just a good dude. He's, like I said, as hardcore as you're going to get from a mini trucker standpoint. So stick with us. You'll learn something new, I'm sure, about Mark Bishop. A good dude, and looking forward to that audio. This audio overview, or episode overview, rather, is brought to you by Hammered Weekend Wear, HAMMERD, weekendwear.com. Please go out there, show some love. They feature real builds, and if you recall, they just finished up their pre-sale. Pre-sale kind of allows for you to order the talls, the bigger sizes, some of the different colors that they don't normally stock. If you go to HAMMERD, you can go out there, and even though they finished the pre-sale pre-order, you can still go under that category, and that shows you the latest stuff. The Stay Hammered banners, the stickers, Stay Classy, and of course you've got the Ram, which is the truck that Ron Perkins owns, and you got the blue Hot Rod. So check them out. But also, if you just go to T-shirts, you'll see Code Red, Dignolonus, Dangerous Water, Sequoia, so many others. A lot of classics. They do sometimes replenish some of the older ones, so check them out. All right, the general updates. And, I do have, it's kind of nice when Mike does kind of kick me to the curb. I really tried to ratchet him down the other day and twist his arm and be like, yo, can we, like if I call you, can you at least answer? And he doesn't, he doesn't text. During normal hours, if I'm working, sometimes I do have on iPhone, you can turn on focus. And the focus, you can then basically weed through certain apps. Like certain apps, you'll get notified. You can have your texts as, kind of come in as what they call, I think, silent or something, where it doesn't notify you and stuff. So I do usually use that, but Mike, he just silences everything. So you'll try to get a hold of him, and he's like, nope, it's my time. And you're like, yeah, but you called me the other day on my time, and you were trying to track me down. It's like, got to reciprocate, Mike. So Miggity Mike, like I said, can't get a hold of him. I did text him, and he just said FF, and I was like, what the hell? I thought he was like talking about Forbidden Fantasy, and it was like no fantasy football. And I was like, man, dude, I'm out, bro. I'm out. And Mike's out again. So we're going to have to see what's going to happen with his status. I'm getting serious here. We haven't went over his mid-year review yet. We might have to do it on the air the next episode or two if we can even get a hold of him and see what the hell's going on. Maybe his performance is, degraded enough that we can finally kind of axe him off. Do what do they call, like a Tanya Harding deal and clip him out. So, we'll see. With the general updates, when I get a chance to go over some things, just in general, I always love doing this. You guys know it. So a couple things. Dr. Dre and team, they win a pretty prestigious award, and now Eminem is close to achieving the EGOT status, EGOT. So RollingStone.com, Eminem just added another award to his already vast trophy case. I know he's chasing trophies like Mike Murray. The Detroit rapper, along with Dre, Snoop, Kendrick Lamar, 50 Cent, and Mary J., won a 2022 Creative Arts Emmy Award for their participation in this year's Super Bowl halftime performance. The star-studded 14-minute set won an award for Outstanding Variety Special during the 2-day awards showcase. With this week's win, Slim Shady is now only a Tony Award away from the Entertainment World's Grand Slam, which is EGOT. Now, I did not know what this was until I saw this, which is Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony. It does go on to say that in total he's won 15 Grammys, and he's been nominated, get this, 44 times. Insane. So, pretty cool stuff. The other thing that I thought was awesome is, Eminem gets a lot of hate, especially from the younger kinfolk and, all these, these different radio and podcast hosts, they're hip-hop connoisseurs. They kind of hate on Eminem a lot because they're like, hey, hip-hop is, is kind of more of a African-American thing, and that's where it started. So they kind of feel like, well, how could Slim Shady be, arguably the best ever, right? And he gets a lot of hate there. But the interesting thing is that the rumor had come out that 50 Cent, that Eminem wasn't going to perform unless 50 Cent got a piece of the pie to come in, right? And of course, Dre and M went 50-50 on 50 back in the day, and they signed him, and that, of course, was a huge success. If you think back to Get Rich or Die Tryin', and really the legacy that 50 left behind, still makes music not enough, I don't think, but then in turn, goes in to do the TV stuff. But he's definitely a big act, and for Eminem to stand up and say, hey, look, I'm not going to perform unless 50 Cent can come in here, I thought that was pretty awesome. But 50 Cent had tweeted out, and he gave a lot of props to M, and it's kind of cool. This is something that I think even kind of ties into our mini truck scene. Oftentimes I'll sometimes share stuff on my story, and people are like, "Oh man, what's going on with ODB? Is he going crazy and stuff?" Yeah, I think my brain's a little crazy. I think you guys know that. But if you think about, like in hip hop, everybody's got, in music in general, but like specific to hip hop, everybody has an opinion. It's like, you could post like Mobb Deep or Cypress Hill or Nas or Jay-Z, and you're going to have a million comments, right? And even though that's good engagement, I've just never been one to like want to post that kind of stuff. On Twitter a lot, I'll see people like, oh, what's album's better, or pick one of these four, and it's like, I don't get down with just engaging with random people and arguing about which album's better, right? But in hip-hop, when you look at the people that have been in hip-hop for 25, 30 years, some of the all-time greats, like a Rakim, like a Big Daddy Kane, right? These guys from the 80s, even, I don't know that KRS-One's ever went on the record, but like Ice-T, for instance, Dr. Dre, of course, and things like that. When they say, hey, Eminem, Slim Shady is one of the greatest, now Dre obviously is a little biased, right? Because he signed them. But, Big Daddy Kane, Rakim, even some of the kind of the mid-90s, late 90s, the newcomers like Crooked I, which kind of became King Crooked. He's arguably one of the best lyricists of all time. When these guys say Eminem is the greatest, right, or one of the best, that goes a long way. So what happens is you have these podcasters and you have these radio show hosts that kind of control a lot of these different mediums. They can bring in new little they could bring in new podcasts. There's one I listen to, like the Gangster Chronicles, and it's like MC8 and a couple other guys and stuff. A lot of those they come from this one guy that's on a morning show, and I don't really like the guy. I know he hates Eminem, but he's kind of a tool overall. But like some of these guys, they get the clout, and I'm talking about in hip hop, and they get this clout and they rise up to the top, and then it's like people, especially younger people, they listen to their opinions, and it's like, yeah, just because you don't like someone doesn't mean that they're not super highly skilled. I'm not the biggest Kanye West fan, really haven't been since he kind of went crazy many years ago. Listened to his first couple albums, okay, cool, and some people are like, no, man, you don't listen to 808 and Heartbreaks and this and that. I'm like, nah, I just don't. He produced a whole EP or album for Nas, and I was like, not listening to it, right? That's just the way my mind is. But I can't take away that, he really is a good artist. Again, I don't agree with all the stuff he may do, and it just, wearing the ski masks everywhere. Like, I don't understand any of that, but I guess it is what it is. But I say all that because even in the truck scene, I love doing the podcast, but I think it's important to remember that, like, my opinion isn't the gospel. It's, we like to talk about stuff, but I would always encourage people, like, listen to people that have been around. When you listen to a podcast, or if somebody's going, hey, I would buy a Chevy versus a Ford. If it's just some Joe Blow that, like, makes YouTube videos that really has no clue which one's better and doesn't give you any substance, why do you listen to their opinion? And I think that's what happens a lot in hip-hop. Eminem gets a ton of hate. But if you look at, a lot of he doesn't make a lot of appearances, but like he always gives love to the old school artist. There's a DOC documentary coming out that I can't wait to see. And of course, DOC that, was loosely tied with NWA, but kind of helped at the infancy of Death Row. And, think about on Nothing But a G Thing, like the DOC, nobody can do it better. The DOC, of course, lost his voice, but I say, like, there's this documentary coming out about him, and Eminem has a part in there where they're talking to him, and he's like, and he starts like rapping DOC's track, and he goes, "Yo, DOC, come over here," and he asks him a question. He's like, "Did you say this or this?" And he goes, "Ah," and DOC's laughing. DOC's one of the greatest ever, and these guys, they respect Eminem for the hustle and the longevity. Let's be honest. There's only a few guys out there, I think, that have that longevity, like Busta Rhymes, like KRS-One, like Eminem, but Eminem is on that higher tier of continuing to sell. So anyways, I say all that because, again, people get some hate. M certainly gets it, and I kind of understand how that can also flow over to, like, the hot rod scene and stuff, Just take a lot of things that people say as a grain of salt. It doesn't mean it's the gospel. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Anyways. Speaking of Eminem, he did drop another new track, verse, whatever you want to call it. I'm not a huge fan of Kanye West, as I mentioned. Not even really a huge fan of DJ Khaled. I know this guy makes all kinds of money, and he gets to now partner with Jordan and release shoes and do all this cool stuff. And, like, I kind of go, is DJ Khaled really that talented? He's like a DJ, Sure, he produces music, and he's more talented than I am. But anyways, his new album, he was able to get a song from M, Dre, and Kanye West. Now, you can check it out on Spotify if you want. One thing stands out to me, though, although M gets, or did, of course, in the past, get a lot of hate from various groups for his lyrics and all that crap, he basically showcases on this track that he can pretty much rap about anything, including religion. So it's kind of a religious type track. He keeps it clean, of course, which I think is great. Ironically enough, a lot of times Dre, you'll see photos that'll come out of him in the studio with people. And there was a photo one day, I think it was Dre, Kanye West, and Eminem. And, hip hop goes wild, like, oh man, what are they working on? And rarely does anything manifest from it. Dre is the most OCD person probably in music, and there's so much music that apparently he works on and he never releases, which is insane. But this is one of those tracks that did come out, so check it out. I think it's kind of short. I don't think it's the greatest, but I do like M's verse. I mean, his lyricism and how things flow, I think it was pretty cool. Next, talking about the general updates here, I did go to Randy Frederick's barbecue on Labor Day Sunday. So shout out to Randy. He's been on the podcast a couple of times. We had him on episode 300 when he was coming across the country in the 9-tray dually, the OBS, kind of the time capsule that he picked up. He had told me several months ago that, hey, I'm going to be having this little deal, and I was kind of excited about it. A little bit of a drive, I'd say about 90 miles. Being that I had Monday off, I said, you know what, I'm going to go do it. And later in the afternoon, of course, peeled out of town and cruised over. And it was pretty cool seeing, Chuck, Mike Barsha, Tim, Todd, of course. No strangers. They were on 300 as well. Randy, it was his crib with his awesome wife. I know Jay Church was over there mixing stuff up as far as the food. Donnie Domino, Matt, Michelle. I got a chance to meet Don. I don't think I ever talked to Don. Don's got a burb from back in the day, black and blue. Chuck Dog was there. A guy from NC, Georgia, a real cool dude I got a chance to talk to. Trying to think who else that I may have missed. Oh, Scotty the Body. He was there too. So I'm sure I'm missing maybe a person or two, and I apologize, but just kind of going through mentally here off the dome, and had a good time. Got a chance to talk about cars and trucks. There was a guy named Chris too. Got a chance to meet Chris and, talking, old school stuff. Chris did the interior and some of the interior stuff in Randy's OBS truck that he got, that he sold. That had some of the plaid seats and the killer stereo behind that bench seat. Of course, it was bodied on billets and very cool truck. Randy sold it, kind of, pulling together some other projects. But, Chris was super cool. And I was like, yo, started talking about Lincoln's, old school car alarms. And he's like, yo, let's do a 90s deal, man, on your truck. And I said, man, sign me up. So we'll see what kind of manifests from there. But thanks to Randy, he's Bow, BOW number 2 NC on Instagram. Good dude. He, of course, also had Tuck Lugs, and that we've established, he had sold that, and that is now up with Chris Schmidt. I know Chris has been doing a bunch of stuff, and I know he was tinkering with the AccuAir for a minute. I had given him some feedback, and I think he ended up talking with either Jimmy at Jimmy's Art and Customs, or maybe it was Ryan and AccuAir. Shout out to AccuAir, my favorite air suspension management in the industry. And he was able to kind of get a couple things there tidied up. But anyways, thanks to Randy for having me over. It's always cool seeing what you got going on over there. Tons of cool mini truck stuff and stuff in general for trucks. So 2 thumbs up, had a great time. The last general update that I have, I know this is like the longest segment ever for ODB, but September 11th is upon us, and I did not want to forget, this weekend is Sunday, September 11th, and, we have a lot to be thankful for. Of course, that was a horrible day in our nation's history, but I want to just give a huge salute to the first responders, military personnel, veterans, those that have given the ultimate sacrifice, the real true patriots. I know Jay Church was there. He's in law enforcement and whatnot, and definitely thank everyone for helping keep our country safe and keeping us free. The good old US of A, September 11th. Rest in peace to those that we lost. God, 21 years ago. If you've never been to Ground Zero, I've been one time. I highly suggest that you make that happen one day. Rest in peace. The general updates is brought to you by Joey at Get Decked. If you have a photo or some artwork that you want to put on a skate deck, look no further. Hit up Joey Dilworth at Get Decked, and he will get you squared away. If you're a show promoter and you want to put some artwork on a skate deck to add to your portfolio of merchandise, 100% certainly hit up Joey at Get Decked. All right, next we get the last episode recap. And I want to thank Kerry Iacino. He lended a few minutes of his time to kind of come back on and do like the intro to the, I don't know, I guess I'll call it legacy audio, the audio from 4 years back, right? And try not to call it a best of, because then people say, best of, I probably already heard it. But it was cool to link back up with Kerry. I keep in contact with him, and he's a good dude. And when I think back to a shop that really made a mark in our scene, that pushed the limits with the bigger wheels and the, quote, stock floor body drops, I think we owe a lot of gratitude to Kerry and team at IF Customs. That's why we highlighted him. He's a great guy. I also wanted to kind of throw that out there, that he's in the insurance business. Some of you knew that, but if you need insurance on your business or car or hot rod, you heard him. Go back and listen to it. He can, I'm sure, do the best he can to help you out, and hit up Kerry Iacino. He's not on Instagram or social media, I don't think, too much, but we certainly appreciate it. We always try to tag him. There's 2 Instagrams. There's the OG IF Customs, and then there's Kerry's, which is like IF Customs, I think. Usually tag both, but shout out to him and, a lot of the guys he was close with, including Down to Earth. A lot of good dudes. They all rolled with Kerry, and he rolled with them, and the good people. That's the episode 304 recap, brought to you by our family at Lone Star Throwdown. Lone Star Throwdown is the biggest, baddest truck show in the world. It's in Conroe, Texas, and it's the last weekend in February 2023. Of course, it's the last weekend in February every year, but if you look at the calendar, I think it's the 24th, the 25th, and 26th. That would be the last weekend next year. Even if you didn't get a chance to register, they sold out in record time this year. Just know that you can fly out or just gallivant in on town, rent a car, drive your truck, whatever. There's a lot of cool stuff to do, a lot of great restaurants around there, and you're not going to be disappointed. There's a little bit of indoor stuff there. There's tons of vendors. I mean, you could easily spend a lot of money buying shirts, buying the cool stuff that's for sale, parts. You name it, AccuAir is one of the big names out there. So hopefully we'll see you at Lone Star Throwdown 2023, which I believe is the 11th annual. I do want to give a shout out to Lone Star Throwdown. They started a new show, and Mike and I have briefly hit on it, but it's Classic Truck Throwdown. Classic Truck Throwdown, CTT for short. They're on Instagram. Classic Truck Throwdown plans to bring together the best vendors, builders, and participants. Show will be held Conroe. Same bat time, same bat channel, kinda. It's in Conroe. It's at the same venue, and it's June 30th through July 2nd, and that's 2023. So a little less than a year. That's the other show. Shout out to the LST family. All right, trivia with Mike, and guess what? Because Mike's out, I'm going to ask Mark the question a little bit later, and I'm going to see if he knows. I'm going to kind of maybe do one that he may know, he may not, and we'll see. And if he gets it right, we'll trickle that tick mark down the mic, and that might help his employee performance. I mean, you can't really call him an employee, but his performance here, his mid-year performance, might just barely get him into like the mid-tier. So if he doesn't cut it, we might have to just let him go and maybe bring on someone else like DJ Mays from Twitch, DJ Mays Radio. We'll have to see, but we'll ask the question a little bit later. Regardless, I want to give a huge shout out to AccuAir. They sponsor us as well. They're great people. If you go to AccuAir.com, you can buy shirts. You can buy all kinds of cool stuff, including air fresheners. If you go to AccuAir Life, you can submit under Get Featured your build. You can add your name, email, Instagram handle, and also the photographer Instagram handle. You upload the photo, and and you're giving AccuAir full permission to use the uploaded material, so don't upload any kind of bad stuff, guys. You know what I mean? Like Mike would, okay, or Hank. So, get out there, AccuAir.com, good people. All right, so next we got the scene updates. There's always good stuff going on. Although I don't find myself online as much these days, I do go on a couple minutes here and there, and I do save some things. I know I also miss out. I know sometimes people, they hit me up in Messenger, and I try to do my best to look at those. But with Instagram and OLP and Lincoln Addict and this and that, there's like tons of messages, and I do try to look at them all. It's just not always easy. But if you do have something, send it to us. ourlifestylepodcast@gmail.com. It's easy. Or you can click the email in the Instagram bio and shoot it over to us. I really, really, really would appreciate it. It helps me because, again, I can't see all this stuff. There's a lot going on. So here's one, Justin Santos. Here's one I saw. Scott Bunselmeyer is adding some sick interior to his awesome Mazda. He's got one of my favorite trucks in the truck scene, and I love this guy does a lot of it himself, if not all of it. He's a true hustler, and love to see his devotion to mini trucking. So it's pretty cool stuff. Matt Hodgson, I love that he received his new issue of the Japan magazine. And what I thought was really awesome is his truck, although he did recently announce that he's going to be selling it, his Colorado, one of the sickest trucks built, rightfully so, received a cover. And it's one of the unfortunate things when I was doing one of the flip-throughs the other day for YouTube, going through all the Mini Truckin' Magazine flip-throughs, I kind of had made a comment that it does somewhat suck that magazines are going away. I think we all agree that. Also, when I go to the supermarket, did I just call it the supermarket? You're getting old when you call the grocery store the supermarket. I wonder if Mike has ever seen Supermarket Sweep. I bet he hasn't. But when I go to the grocery store and I'm at Publix and I look down on the magazines and I just see the few current magazines that we have in our scene, they're just sitting there. It's like, I wonder, did they send a lot of them to this location? Does nobody want them? I mean, hell, I saw SEMA booths having a hard time, not any particular one, but just giving collateral or a magazine to someone. People just don't even want it. So I sometimes wonder what's going to happen with magazines, but I say all that because I love Truck Trends, also known as now Custom Trucks Mag. This magazine, to me, is just insane. The amount of content, the page quality, the true devotion to mini trucks, right? We haven't seen anything like this, in my opinion, since Mini Truckin' Magazine. And I wish that more people could get their hands on these. Of course, Matt's truck's on the newest cover. I get mine through Redbeard. When we had him on, we talked about it, so he's kind of my plug, so to speak. And I'm so happy I can get them because I'll tell you what, man, you see this magazine and you go, wow. And I really wish they could up the distribution somehow here. Maybe they don't want to print more copies. Maybe just the shipping is way too expensive. I don't know. But certainly, if you could ever get a chance to get one of these Custom Trucks Mag, dude, they're insane. And tip of the cap to Matt. I love his truck. Whoever ends up with it, if he hasn't sold it already, is going to get a damn nice one. Speaking of that, Chad Luke, man, dude, I appreciate the shout out. He said on August 31st, fun fact, 5 years ago, the single cab version of the Tacoma was featured in Custom Trucks Mag. And now the same very month, it's on the cover of the newest issue that was released last week as the new four-door rebuild. Usually ODB over at OLP catches this and will post it, but I'm going to have to do him. I'm going to have to beat it to him. Or I'm going to have to beat him to it. ODB, got you this time, haha. And that you did, brother. That's so cool. And it was weird because recently, not only this feature, but it almost, and I should have posted something about it, it kind of aligned too with the street truck stuff because something had popped up that I had posted, and I was like, wow. So I posted Chad's truck with the original feature, and then boom, it's in street trucks again. So that was kind of a cool thing. And dude, to see a truck like this that's so nice, getting this much exposure to me is mind-blowing. So tip of the cap. He knows that. Chad, I appreciate you as a friend, as a homie, as a brother, as a mini trucker. But the commitment that he has, kind of like Eddie Gordy, you know, both of these guys take home some hardware from OLP, and that's not why they do it, but the dedication that Eddie's got on his build, the dedication that Chad has. And there's a lot of other ones out there. I mean, it's insane, the commitment. You know, Chad doing some of the bead rolling stuff, and Eddie's over here chroming stuff like there's no tomorrow. I know Eddie's going for Mike's jugular. I'm just trying to keep Mike alive, okay? Mike thinks that, you know, that I'm just trying to really make him win a trophy, but I'm going, Mike, dude, if you don't start getting more billet and chrome done, you're done, dude. You might as well just sell your truck or crush it, because Eddie's coming for your throat every show. Eddie knows that, right? But if I want to keep my buddy alive, you know what I'm saying? I got to lead him on some. So that's why we keep the deal going with Mike. But in all seriousness, Chad Luke, dude, bro, salute when you think of a newer school mini that's toppling a lot of stuff. And again, none of us do it for the awards. You know, a lot of us do it because we want to push the scene and see how far we can take this. That longevity I talked about with Eminem, you know, 20, 25 plus. Still doing it, still breaking records. That's what these guys are doing. They're pushing the scene forward, and I never look at it and say, oh, man, it must be nice. Oh, man, I mean, he's got more chrome, and he's got more. Dude, I look at it and say, bro, bless, man. Keep doing it. I want to see everybody follow their dreams, hit their goals, and make minis on the rise forever. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if minis are on the downfall in 5 years, I've got nothing. I've got no catchphrase. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So those are a couple that I wanted to share. I'm sure there's a lot that I missed, but it is what it is. Appreciate everybody out there. Always post the mini trucks. And some of these mini truck groups are going crazy. That's why I got to turn my phone off because I'll be on my phone 10 hours a day. So I got to put the focus mode on and focus on putting out new content for OLP. The scene updates brought to you by the kinfolk at Garage Gear Clothing. You sometimes scratch your head and go, dang, ODB, you're talking about hammered weekend wear. What about Garage Gear Clothing? Yes, you heard this right. They offer free shipping. The holiday season is upon us. If you don't see Garage Gear Clothing at one of these events nationwide, hit them up, garagegearclothing.com. It is free shipping. They've got the kids stuff, the ladies on lock. They got the dudes. They got sport trucks. They got full sizes, minis, you name it, garagegearclothing.com. Next, we got the key show updates. Dude, so here's one. This is what I tell people. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I miss them. Okay, so I need everyone to kind of keep me honest out there. Okay, if there's a show that you're aware of that you're like, hey, why are you not talking about this show, man? You know, so is there some beef there? What's going down, man? Then here's what I would tell you. Shoot us an email, ourlifestylepodcast@gmail.com. Here's one I forgot. Scrape Fest. It's SCR number 8P FEST car truck show on Instagram. Scrape Fest with the number 8. Hit them up. It's September 23rd through the 24th, 2022. It's in Newton, North Carolina. They even have the link in here, which I think they need to, if any of the Pebble Pusher guys are listening, the Instagram bio, you got to update the link, put it in the hyperlink field. That way you can just tap on it. But right there they do have it. You could copy and paste it, I think. Take a screenshot and copy paste it. But I would just go on Google Maps and type in One American Legion Avenue in Newton, North Carolina. And again, this is going down September 23rd through the 24th, 2022. And proceeds benefit Levine Children's Hospital. Okay, it's a 24th annual event. Some good kinfolk. I know last year they had some crazy awards that reminded me of the North Carolina Tar Heel jerseys, those colors. Pebble Pusher, Scrape Fest 23. I mean, it was sick. So go out there and show the kinfolk some love. They're good people. A lot of hardcore mini truckers. Get out there and support the damn scene. Now, that was an update that I had for a show that I recently haven't talked about. I'm going to add that to the OLP calendar now. This weekend is Dropped and Destroyed and Static Nationals. So I'm looking on the OLP digital show calendar, and Dropped and Destroyed is in Uniontown, Ohio. That's Saturday, Sunday, as far as I can tell, and it's DROPT out com, dropped out com, kind of short for .com. That's their Instagram profile. You can check them out. And then Static Nationals, that's the 9th, 10th, and 11th, I believe, and they are on Instagram as Static Nationals. So good people. Check them out. Hit them up if you got questions. You know the routine. So next week is Lowdown in Laughlin. That's, I think, Friday, Saturday. You can go out on social media. I have the link there to the Seductive Minis website on the calendar. And then Trucks and Cheeseburgers is that Sunday. Now, I do not believe I'm going to make Trucks and Cheeseburgers right now. I've been, I think, almost every year, even going back to when it was coined the local minis deal. And big shout out to John. Love what he's doing. That's why I'm talking about it. Definitely an OG. He's been on here. Definitely an OG. He's been on plenty of times. But that weekend, I'm going to be focused on a couple of other things, and I'm just not going to make it. So I'm going to bow out of that one. The weekend of the 23rd, as I mentioned, is going to be Scrape Fest, and then the weekend after that is Cruise to the Pines. I believe is October 1st. If I remember correctly, that one had got delayed, and it's October 1st. So that's kind of where we're at for now with the calendar. Key show updates brought to you by the family at the West Coast Influence. If you did not know, you can actually go out to minitruckfilm.com and order a Blu-ray or DVD. There's a documentary-style film that was produced by Todd Radar Hendricks, and it's called The West Coast Influence. Trust us, minitruckfilm.com. This is a great stocking stuffer for your man or woe man. If they're a mini trucker, no doubt. There's a lot of legends. Many we've had on this podcast. A few we still need to have on. But again, don't just take our word for it. Hit up minitruckfilm.com and order today. Next, we got the podcast updates. So the merchandise, we're still kind of in that in-between. We paid for it. We're waiting for it to print. I know it's getting closer because I got the proofs for the banners, the stickers from Andrew over at Graphic Disorder. And I would remind people, if you go to ourlifestylepodcast.com and you want to show some love, go ahead and place an order. We do have some cool stuff, including the new Mini Truckin themed, paying homage to the Mini Truckin original shirt. We do have some shirts available. We also have the skate decks on pre-sale, technically. We have stickers. So we have the banner and the sticker. I'll be updating the proofs now that we have those banner or stickers as low as $3 up to $5. And then the banner, the thing that's cool about this one is it's going to be that nice, high-quality Graphic Disorder banner, and it's 34 by 17. So it's not a small one. We got a good price point on it, a little bit higher because of the bigger size, but hit up ourlifestylepodcast.com. The numbers that are on there, once they sell, they're gone. We're not going to reorder this one as far as I know. And if we do, it's going to be like 5 years down the road. Hit it up, ourlifestylepodcast.com. Okay, if I go on Apple Podcasts, we have 274 ratings, so please, if you can, leave a 5-star rating. It really helps us out. If you want to go a step further, go ahead and tap on Write a Review, and certainly appreciate it. I think this last week we did get Diablo said, fantastic pod, hang 10, little emoji. So really appreciate it, dude. Thanks for the 5-star rating. Big ups to Diablo. Okay, last update for OLP. If you can, go out to our YouTube channel and subscribe. If you have an opportunity, hook us up. Let some videos play out there. You know, let's say you listen to the podcast through Apple and you're at work and you have internet access. Pull up an extra browser window, go on OLP and hook us up. Hit play, okay? Watch some flip throughs. Even if you've already listened to the podcast, let it roll on there. what I'm trying to do is get over that finish line of 4,000 minutes watched. It's not easy, okay? Once we do that, that's going to allow us to monetize on YouTube a little bit, and it's going to be even more of an incentive for me to produce higher quality content. So I'm trying to give myself that incentive, even if I only make $1 check from it. I don't care. I just want to get to that number, and I think we're at like 2,700 minutes, and we're over 1,000 subscribers. So we got one. We need to do the other. We've got no strikes, so we're good there. But definitely, if you can, if you've got the flexibility to have internet at your work, or maybe you work from home and you can pull it up on your other computer, whatever you can do, help us out, help me out. And it also helps grow the channel, because the algorithms will see, oh, more people are watching, and it'll help to push that channel a little bit more. The podcast update's brought to you by Graphics Mafia. Hit up GRAPHIX, graphics with an X, mafia.com. If you need stickers, they can replenish existing artwork that you may have. Maybe you've got an old sticker or windshield banner that you want to remake. They will take care of you. If you're in Florida and they're going to the same show, they'll often deliver at the show to save you on shipping. Also, if you need to get your club logos made, maybe you've got some new petitioners coming in, they're going to get their patch or whatnot, hit up Ryan or Buddy, hey Buddy, at Graphics Mafia. Okay, last but not least, I got the Airhead Nation update, so I want to give a huge shout out to Erica. So Tim wanted to take a minute to wish my beautiful wife, Erica Davis, a very happy birthday, or as I say, born day. And they're a great couple. Got a chance to hang out with them at Scraping the Coast just a year ago. Can't believe it's been that long. But Erica, I hope you enjoy your born day. And tell Tim to quit spending money on all the cool stuff he's got and let me have it all. Just kidding. And I think that's all I got. Usually I have more. I've talked enough. I'm getting sick of it. Appreciate all the love out there. Airhead Nation updates, as I mentioned earlier, brought to you by Graphics Mafia, the same great kinfolk that brought us the podcast updates this week. It's GRAPHIXmafia.com. Hopefully I'm not forgetting anyone. I feel like I am. But if I do, I apologize. We'll hit you next week. Hopefully, God willing, Lord willing, with another one. Stay on the rise. Be safe this weekend. Remember, September 11th. Be thankful that we still got our lives here. A lot of people perished on that horrible, tragic day 21 years ago. Hope you guys have a great weekend and enjoy this audio with Mark Bishop, the hardcore OG from Florida. We got you. Peace. Yo, so as I mentioned, super excited to sit down with Mark Bishop. Mark, I just want to welcome you and ask you, how you doing?
Doing good, brother, doing good. Happy to be on your program.
Hey, thanks so much for taking the time. We chopped it up at Made of Steel a little bit, and I always had in the back of my mind, I was like, man, I got to link up with him. You're a big supporter of the mini truck scene, and I can't wait to talk about all that stuff. But, for those that may not know you, Mark, give a little bit of the backstory on who you are, where you grew up, so we kind of know what we're working with.
All right. Well, I was born in Tennessee, moved down here, lived in Pine Hills most of my life. Started out BMX riding. I was 12, 13. Was stayed in that for quite some time, and then got me a Volkswagen Bug and decided to do some bug shows and customize them, and ended up both of my brothers and my sister, both, all three of them had custom bugs. And, we went to shows a lot and finally growed out of that and got me a mini truck in 1989.
Oh, man, dude, that's a great year. And that's pretty cool. So about what age were you when you moved to Florida, do you think? Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember. I had to be 3 or 4 years old.
Ah, okay. Now, did your parents, were they like a lot of folks that wanted to move kind of just to cooler weather, or not cooler weather, but like warmer climate, or what was the reason? Any idea?
Yeah, my mom got a job with Martin Marietta, which was back in the day, Martin Marietta. Now it's Lockheed Martin.
Ah,
but
that's a great company.
Yeah. She worked there until she retired, and she was there for 29 years.
Wow, well, congrats to mom, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, when you got into bikes, like what was it like? Was that because like all the neighborhood kids were riding bikes, and then there was a little bike track, or like was there a magazine? Like, do you remember? What you think it just was because hey, everybody was riding bikes? Like, what was the gateway there?
Well, I used to go fishing over in Barnett Park, and me and a couple guys, and we'd ride our bikes over there, and then we ended up getting on the racetrack, and I had an old Webco.
Oh wow!
And so it was a tank, and got on there and started jumping and riding and everything. Had a great time, and ended up moving up to a red line, and rode that red line probably for 2 years. And then my big purchase was my dad bought me a MCS.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was back in the day.
That's insane. Yeah, and I mean we could do a whole episode on this topic, but if you if you go on eBay, right? I know you know this, and Billy does too. And you even look at like Webco, like the bikes, like people. There's a lot of people that want to collect bikes from that like era or like when they were kids, and it is pretty insane. I think you would agree on what the prices have gotten to.
Oh, it's absolutely insane. Yeah, if I had my old Hutch or my MCS or Webco, my Redline, even Redline, the prices are just outrageous now, and they're old school.
Yeah, it is, and it's nothing to go on eBay and see a $7,500 bike, and you're like, man,
exactly.
I mean, maybe I shouldn't have, invested in this. I should have got this. It's just insane. Sometimes I wish I had a time machine because I would go back and load up the DeLorean with like all the new old stuff, NOS stuff.
Absolutely, yeah, I would definitely do my collecting.
Oh yeah. So when you were riding bikes in that era, that was kind of a big era when, like, when you would ride like in race and stuff, like the guys were wearing the suits and the helmets and all that stuff. You probably have fond memories of that era.
Oh yeah, I had a good time with that. It's there was just so many kids that come around and they would race, and a lot of people had paper plates. A lot of them couldn't afford to go out and get them a nice number plate for the front with all the stickers and everything. And, I just remember that, and just remember, that's where I met Billy actually in 85.
Really? Yeah, I was wondering. I was wondering about that. Yeah, I mean, Billy Weekly we've had on before, and he was really big into it. But that's ironic that you guys met even, back, God, man, 30 plus years ago.
Yeah, it's been a little bit, but that's where I first met him. I really didn't know him then, but then he had a bug also, and we would cruise around a little bit, and I remember seeing him here and there because he was always out racing. But we separated up, and I went and did my own bug thing, and he went to racing, and and then he ended up getting a Toyota, and he ended up lowering it, and we still hung out a little bit here and there, especially on iDrive. iDrive was our thing, we'd go down to iDrive and hang out all hours of the night.
That's awesome.
And then once, when it was 1989, I ended up selling my bug and got me a 90 S10.
Wow.
And I bought it.
Yeah, because that was basically brand new.
Yeah, I bought it. I bought it on Tuesday, and it was dropped Saturday. So
wow.
I didn't waste no time.
Yeah, that's sick. Now, before I want to talk more about trucks, but I got a question for you. So, like, if you think about bikes, if you could have one dream bike, like everybody kind of has a bike from their childhood. Maybe it was one they had, or maybe it was one their buddy had. Is there any one bike that you would pick that would be like, dude, I would have that hanging on the wall?
Probably a Hutch.
Hutch, yeah. I know my buddy Tim Davis from RA, man. We talk about the Hutches and stuff, and it is pretty crazy, the colors and just how expensive those things are, but they are freaking awesome.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I had my MCS. I ended up trading some wheels, and I had the Skyway mags on it with the gum wall tires, and that was that was the shizit back then.
Oh yeah. Now, did this ever happen to you or any of your friends? My buddy Paul, he lived in a neighborhood not too far from where I live now. He grew up in Carpenter's Run. That's actually where they filmed some of Edward Scissorhand, the whole neighborhood scene. It's not that far from here, but growing up in a neighborhood, see, I grew up like on School Road. There wasn't, I didn't really have like a lot of neighborhood kids, right? A couple younger, a couple older, but I never had this happen. Did you ever have a bike stolen?
Oh, many.
Really? Yeah, because that was the thing. Depending on where you were at, people would steal bikes.
Yeah, I was at the track actually one day, and we were all just goofing off, and we were up on the hill, and we laid our bikes down, on the backside of the park there, and I came back, man, mine was gone, and I was crushed.
Yeah, my buddy Paul was talking about how he remembers right where his bike was stolen in Carpenter's Run, and it was, neighborhood kid or whatever, and had to be crushing because, back then it was like for a lot of us, it was to talk our parents into buying us a $300 or $400 bike or whatever that number was, and, for it to be stolen, they're probably, nope, you're not getting another one, But,
yeah, it was like it was your first remembrance, of trauma.
Yes.
It was like, what in the world just happened?
Yeah, that emptiness in your stomach, like, damn, dude, like, bro, like, is my buddy playing a joke on me? And then you're like, no, it's legit.
Yeah, it was real deal.
Now, do you kind of have a little bit of memory? So I was pretty young when E.T. came out, so they just celebrated the 40th anniversary of E.T., so it was in 82. That seemed like, even though BMX, kind of out of the 70s into the 80s, was still... was kind of a big thing. It was pretty neat, I think, that Steven Spielberg put the bikes in there. Do you have any fond memories of like how that was like, oh, cool, there's bikes, oh, they're getting chased by the cops and stuff like that?
Yeah. That's funny because there was a couple guys that used to put baskets on the front of their bikes and ride around with little stuffed animals.
Yeah,
and I had totally forgotten all about that until you bring that up. So, yeah, that was a little out of bounds there.
Yeah, I know, right? What was cool is when, chatting with Billy over the years, Billy Weekly, one of the just the great guys in our scene like you, Mark, and, he talks about, he has memories of working at bike shops or working at a shop, and he goes, man, if I put one of those Kuwaharas together, I put 1,000 together, whatever the number was, and that, I always thought back to myself, like, Steven Spielberg really should have had bought stock in Kuwahara because, man, they sold a lot of bikes after that.
Yeah, they sold a bunch. And that's another thing. Billy worked at the same bike shop that we used to go to all the time, Abbott's Bikes. And he would be back there putting bikes together, and then he'd ride his bike home. And, it's crazy memories, man.
Yeah, hard-working dude. So you kind of established with the VW Bugs, a lot of mini truckers and C10 guys and, folks listen to Ronnie at C10 Talk, and, they... listen to us here, and we talk about the love that people have for the Volkswagens and things like that. It sounds like that was like a natural progression. A lot of guys had bikes, and you had some family members that had the Bugs. Your first Bug, what year was it? It
was a 69.
Nice.
69 Bug. My dad bought it from my next door neighbor. I think he paid like $1,200 for it. It was mint. It was like a beige color. So what did he do? He gave it to his son. What did his son do? His son went and put drop spindles on it with some P135s, took the old 1600 motor out, put a 1776 in it, and rode it.
Wow. Yeah, dude. Yep. My buddy Marlon Dunker lives near me, and he's been around the mini truck scene since the late 80s and built some cool stuff over the years, including a really badass S10. He's a big VW guy, and over the years I'll be talking. He's got a 65 now, I think it is. He's since posted about it and whatnot. It's a convertible. But, what always got me is, I can look at a Lincoln and go, oh, that's a 65 or that's a 68. The Bugs, I have to sometimes get in someone's ear to kind of ask and go, hey, so like some of them have the split windows in the back. I mean, at the beginning, you think they're all the same. They all look the same, but they really don't.
No, not at all. Not at all. The 54s, it's up through the 56s. I've had a friend of mine had a 64, and I had, of course, the 69. And, I mean, it was just, you can pretty much tell what they are, whenever if you got the eye for it, just like you with the Lincolns.
Yep. Yeah, it just takes, kind of being around them. There was a guy that had, it was funny, the guy that got me into mini trucking, Chris Lopez, I've talked about, he had the 88 Mitsubishi Mighty Max, cruising around, Ghost Flames, topper, mural on the tailgate. He eventually got into, years later, last time I talked to him was 2009 at Slamfest, he had a Lincoln 61, but he also was a VW guy. And he had a VW there that same year. He had his Lincoln and his VW in 2009. And what I always liked is when I looked in the VW, the interior was this really cool color. It kind of was like a off-white exterior. The interior was super sick, but I always love, and some people go, yeah, they all have them, or it's real basic, that little shelf underneath the dash. I always thought that was super cool.
Yeah, those are really nice. And a lot of them are like a netting.
Like a wicker almost?
Yeah, absolutely. And see, my brother, he had what we called a Gumby Cruiser. It was a lime green Baja Bug.
Okay.
It had 1835 with an RX stinger on it, and it had black button tuck leather interior with a VCR and TV and a wet bar in the back.
Holy crap.
Yeah, he would go to the World of Wheels, and it was amazing. And my other brother, Rick, he had a Burgundy Bug. It was all full custom interior and everything. And my sister also, she had a 74 Sun Bug. But man, we really loved them. I mean, and that's where I got my feelings, for going to shows and everything else. And, I haven't stopped since.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy to think how those little memories that we have, right? Even before mini trucking. I mean, I think we've all established what's neat to me is a lot of us were into bikes or skateboards. And then, the VWs were a big thing because a lot of guys, dads were into those and whatnot. I don't have a lot of VW magazines. I have a couple that I bought. There was one called Hot VWs, and this builder out of, I think, Arizona-ish, his name's Sick Chops, like SICCHOPS. He built like a 51 and had Colorado custom wheels. It just was a really, really cool vehicle. But even though there's such a small platform, to me, you would think like, hey, you've seen one, you've seen them all. But as well as I do, like, dude, there's like, the sky's the limit. And when my buddy Tony and I, when we go out to the Bug Jam here, not too far from us, it's crazy to see how many different genres there are with these cars, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And the things that they can do with them, it's unreal.
Yep. Yeah, it is pretty crazy. Now, if you had to pick one maybe favorite year, is it one that you had, or what would your favorite year Bug be?
It would probably be a 64. I like the style of the headlights and, the smaller tail lights on it. I've seen people put those fenders on, a 68 to 70 model, and it just doesn't look the same. They just don't fit right. But that's probably what I'd be, 64, 65.
Yeah, good years. And my buddy Marlon Dunker, man, his is going to be pretty cool. I like seeing it cruising around. It's pretty hammered. And there's a lot of parts out there, too. I know there's a place, I think, still in Tampa, Fisher Buggies. But it was crazy when we go to the VW Bug Jam, or the Bug Jam, rather, it, like, you see wheels, and you're like, okay, 14s or whatever, and you're like, man, I'm a mini trucker. If I would have stayed a VW guy, you can kind of afford some of that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, man, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, I had the stock chrome wheels. I had them re-dipped, so they were real homie chromies. They were definitely shiny.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's even a story, I think Bill Hancock from Colorado Custom Wheels told us that the whole the Bitch and Rides crew, his first vehicle was like a VW, and I guess like he built it, and I think he's acquired it back, and they may have even did an episode on it. I haven't watched all of those, but it's mind blowing to me that there's that lineage between minis and kind of VWs and stuff, because a lot of us kind of started somewhere, and it wasn't always in mini trucks, but. Speaking about minis, though, so when you mentioned that you end up getting this like basically brand new S10, you start customizing it. How did things go from there?
Well, let's see. Well, I started when I first got the vehicle. I went to Billy's house, of course, and we lowered it. After that, we would just cruise around quite a bit. He still had his Toyota. They were still, he was still working on it, did the corner tilt, side tilt, and all that stuff. And then he got it painted. Me, I just kept with the solid black, just like I've got now with my truck, just went to a lot of shows. We would go probably 3 weekends out of the month,
Yeah, because there was a lot of stuff around, and you have seen, to kind of derail a little bit, but when you mentioned iDrive earlier, I think it's crazy over here where I grew up going, wow, I remember when this was 2 lanes and stuff. I mean, you and Billy and some of your friends and family have probably seen the transformation in that whole area over all those years.
Yeah, absolutely. iDrive used to be the place to go. You go there Friday night, Saturday night, and, you just cruise. It's like 3 miles, but it would take you 4 hours to get down to one end and back down the other.
Yep.
Everybody was out there cruising, no matter what you drove, and it was just a great time. And I just wish that, I wish there was a place to where we could do that again. I know there's mini nats and things like that to where you can cruise, but just now it's just too much, too many, laws and everything now, preventing it. And then you've got the ones that want to ruin it by doing donuts and, doing what they do.
Yeah. And I know there's, like in California, the Van Nuys, there's a book about, the cruising and a lot of that stuff. And it even is crazy to me that, whether it's dragging or the little rider guys bouncing and stuff, especially in California, I watch some of the stuff on YouTube, and the stuff kind of gets a little crazy. And I'm not saying it's, it's good or bad. I don't really have an opinion on it, but to your point, like if you could just, it's almost like if you think about, because you live out in that area, Old Town, for instance, right? I've only been there 4 or 5 times. It's this cool little thing, but it is a lot of, the guys, it's not really mini truckers, right? It's the old timers, I'll call them, right? No disrespect. But we need something almost like that, but for mini trucks and kind of a little bit more custom stuff.
Absolutely. That would be fantastic. And it doesn't have to be just for mini trucks.
Yep.
If you got a custom ride and, you're proud of it, it doesn't have to be bagged, doesn't have to be juiced. Yep. If you got a static ride and you're proud of it and you like the way that you've done it, hey, bring it out, man. That's the way it started, and that's the way, that it should be.
Yeah, I think we all need to take from this something that, maybe we take back and go, man, how do we get some of the homies together and maybe just do something, right? I know sometimes I overthink everything. So I'm like, well, we could do this, but then we got to do this and this. But sometimes, I mean, if there was access to like a parking lot, like what Angie from Acrophobia here locally, she gets people together every month or 2 over at the Portillo's, and there's an area where everybody can park and nobody really complains. It's not like the mall's going, well, wait a minute, you're on our property. The Portillo's is kind of like cool. But it's a cool, what I call like a cruise in. Everybody cruises in. But when I've left out of there, nobody's doing donuts. You got a couple guys revving their engines. Nothing crazy. All legal. Right. But that aspect of it, I think, as we get older, we value that a lot because we work hard. These long days and stuff, and then you just want to kind of get out and enjoy your stuff a little bit and not have to drive 12 hours to a show.
Absolutely. Yep, I agree 100%. That's what it's all about. Getting out and enjoying your ride. Get out and meet people. Doesn't matter what club you're with. It doesn't matter what club they're with. As long as you guys get together. I've been doing this a long time. I've been in the same club since 1989. I had some leeway in there. I, went to firefighting school and done that and raised my family and stuff. But here I am, back in the same club that I was in, that I helped start in 1989.
Yeah, and that's a perfect segue because that's really what was on my mind next because we started dabbling about the Mini and then boom, 1989, 1990. But I've always been curious, a couple of the guys when I was at Randy's last week and they go, yeah, when Billy was on, it was cool. But, man, we kind of wanted to hear a little bit more of this and that because they kind of grew up in or around that greater Orlando area. So talk to us a little bit about, like, how did Hardcore Minis, the club that you're in, the club that, let's be honest, you kind of helped start, from the infancy. How did that really come about? Is it just the homies hanging out? Give us the backstory.
Well, what it was Billy had been up in Jacksonville, and he was up there for a BMX thing. And there was another guys there. They had their bike club, I guess what it is, but it was something low. I can't remember. But Billy said, yeah, this is hardcore from Orlando. And that's where it stuck. So he come back home, and
he's like, you want to join a gang? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, he lived across the street from me.
Okay.
Billy did. And, of course, he, he had the Toyota, and then he traded that and got him an extra cab GMC. And that was the same time that I got my S10. So I was like, well, I got a buddy of mine that does some painting. And what I actually did is I come up with this idea, probably not a good idea, but I come up with it. It was the Hard Rock Cafe logo.
Uh-huh.
But instead of Hard Rock Cafe, I put Hardcore Minis.
Okay.
Orlando. Same, but you could get it painted the same color as your truck or whatever color you wanted. And my buddy Dan, he's the one that did all that. They were all hand painted.
Ah, yeah, that's something I wanted to ask. So, okay, so shout out to Dan.
Yeah.
So very cool. Now, in the beginning, talk to us like, was it you, Billy? How do you end up getting more people? Are you guys going to cruise-ins and people are like, hey, I want to join your gang? Truck club. What was the deal?
Well, we were going to a lot of the shows, and there was guys that was with our group, Paul Falzone, Mitch Taylor. There was quite a few that we all hung around together. Now they were in Midnight Fantasies, Hot Action, the other trucks, and me and Billy was in Hardcore. And Jason, I'd be lying to you if I started blabbing off names because over 30 years, I don't remember a lot of their names.
Yeah.
But the ones that I do remember from us starting the club and, being here and there on these shows, we're still good friends. I've got, 10 or 12 good friends that we were in different clubs, Termite with his Toyota and all that. We still talk to each other.
Yeah, do you ever sometimes or bump into someone like an old friend, old mini trucker? Sometimes people probably thought like, hey, Mark, this was going to be a fad. You guys are going to do it for 5 years or whatever. But, whether you've been doing it consistently for every single year or not, if you think back, like, it's crazy that you guys are still friends. You're still doing the same stuff. You still, quote, play with trucks and all that stuff. Does it ever just blow your mind?
It does. It really does. And, that's what I try to put into my son's head. I've got, 2 older boys. Or Cody, he has a 92 Isuzu. And I've always told him, I said, it doesn't matter if you got a logo on the back window, and if you do, you need to respect that logo and you respect other people. Don't just say, this is the club that I'm in, heck with whatever you think,
Sure.
at these shows and things. You can't be like that. And they've never been like that.
Yep.
So,
yeah, it's pretty cool to me that it wasn't a fad. Mini trucking is here to stay. Now,
right.
I think back, like when I look at the magazines, some of the old friends that kind of helped me early in the scene, like understand some of these shows and stuff. I didn't start going to shows till like 96. Of course, I was reading the magazines, but you probably have some fond memories of like the Water Mania shows. Talk to us about maybe a few. You don't have to talk about all of them, but like Water Mania and some of the other ones that you remember maybe going to and the good times.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We had a lot at Water Mania. We even had shows at Off the Wall. It was down on the trail. We'd also have some meetups there. But everybody wanted to stay in a hotel room. You've got 30 people want to shack up in one room because nobody had any money back
right, because they're mini truckers, damn it.
Exactly. So that's really, really fun. We had a lot of good times a lot of good memories and a lot of being chased off, for, or being watched really close. And, it's, we've definitely had our moments, but it's something that you'll never forget. It's a life learning experience, and I wouldn't trade this ride for anything.
Oh, yeah. And the cool thing, too, about mini truckers is, it wasn't always about, like, the money. It's like if one of the homies was like, man, I'm a little short. I didn't get my check this week. I get paid next week. Everyone's like, hey, come along, man. We got you, Because things were cheaper back then, too, So, you'd buy a meal. It was $5, $3-4, and it was like, whatever. So you take care of the homies. Now, Watermania, talk to us a little bit about, my understanding was, like, try to help me understand the dynamic. Was it like the water park that the trucks got let in early and it was like the normal, like, water park day? Like, how did that stuff go about? Because I never got a chance to go.
Okay, yeah, it was open for business. It was right here in Kissimmee on 192, and they would let the show trucks in a little early, and they would park around in the grassy area. Some of them would park up on the concrete, the parking lot outside, and there was just trucks and different types of vehicles everywhere, and you could have full access to the park. So it was very interesting how they set it up.
Yeah, now, it was probably about a year ago, it might have been 2021, someone had shared, now Ryan Fringlinghouse, I had talked to him from West Coast Customs briefly on the phone a couple times, and he was talking about, we've got this new thing coming up, Six Flags, this and that. And no sooner when they had the show out at Six Flags, like, people were doing videos and reels and this and that. Everybody's got phones, of course, and it's like early in the morning, and they're like driving through. Like, there's a roller coaster going in the back, and there's a guy doing the tilt bed and stuff. I'm like, damn, this is kind of cool. But it must have been kind of like that. You guys arrived early. When you got there, did they have, like, the employees, like, staging you where you could park, or was it just like a free for all?
No, they put you, them and the people that were putting on the show.
Okay.
They had designated spots for you. If you wanted to park with your club, of course, a lot of the club members would be split up because they would run out of room, in a certain area. So they would put you in a different area. But, if you got a concrete spot, then that's pretty much where you stayed.
Yep. Now, was anybody ever close enough to, like, so overhead there's a tube ride, and the tube rides always leak a little bit over the sides, some splash and stuff. So my understanding was there was, like, you might be getting a little bit of a splash on the truck, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you would definitely get splashed. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's some old school stuff.
You want to try to stay away from that area.
So when we were talking at Made of Steel show, one of my favorite shows over in Dover every May, we sat down and we were chopping it up, and Billy, you and I, and I think even Rich, might have been Rich there. I forget if Billy was there, but we were talking about the old days, and one of the things I think you had brought up to me, and you shared the video with me, was Red Hot. So Red Hot Mini Truck is back in Florida. But you remembered, I think it was maybe from one of the Watermania shows, and I was able to share that video, and I thought that was freaking awesome.
Yeah, oh yeah. I remember Red Hot when he first really come out with that truck. Him and Termite used to go head to head. Chris Claps, they would go head to head, and then Billy also with Red Hot. They would always try to up one, and me, Mr. Conservative, I just kicked back and watched it unfold.
Yeah.
I don't want no dog in that hunt.
Exactly. And
that's too much money for me, brother.
Yeah, and what's crazy, and I kind of mentioned this in the Mini Truckin' Magazine flip through on our YouTube back, issue 5 or whatever, a Mini Truckin'. What was crazy, and we had Alan Paradise talk about this, was that the truck was like brand new, like an '88 model, I think, and then boom, it's before it's '89, it's on a cover. And then what was mind-blowing is we all knew that it was kind of in safe hands, we thought, but we're just like, where did it go after he sold it? And then all these years later, we get to see it at Made of Steel. We're sitting 15, 20, 30 feet from it, talking. It was kind of a surreal experience for me because that was the first truck that was like kind of etched in my mind going to a show, back in November '96?
The last time I knew that truck was in Canada. The last time I seen the update for sale, we were at Ace Cafe doing a little show there, and I had my back turned, and I was facing Billy and Paul, and then we're there, and Billy's eyes lit up, and I was like, what the hell? So I turned around, and boom, there's Red Hot on a trailer. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So it was surreal, and I was like, he needed help getting it off the trailer and stuff, so we all went over there and, gave him my hand. And
oh, really?
And he parked it. Yeah. And he parked it right there, with us right there behind us and stuff, and lit up his little display. And we were like, God, I can't believe this truck is still around. And now it's back in the Orlando area.
Yeah, and it was so cool because the guy, I think, kind of hinted there was a little bit of a bidding war when he got it. He remembered the truck. He kind of, quote, brought it home to the state of Florida. I got to get with the original owner because, I talked with him about coming on, and he said he would. Mm-hmm. Good dude. But what I thought was awesome is, it's very rare for something, especially that custom, to leave the state, right, and even leave the country, and it's a different country, and it literally sat, and then I think my understanding was when it popped up on eBay, the guy, whoever had it, had already went through, cleaned the fuel system. I think they said, okay, here's all the stuff you got to do to a vehicle that's been sitting 5 years. This one's been sitting for, damn near 25.
I know all about that.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So it kind of was like, how could this vehicle just sit all those years? But I'm the type of guy that go, you know what? I'm kind of glad it did. Because, had it been ran in the ground 25 years later, maybe it's not what it is today. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of weird.
It would be in a scrapyard somewhere, unfortunately.
Yeah, it could be.
If somebody drove it every day and did take care of it. And, that's what happens to a lot of these rides. A lot of people just don't understand that.
Yep. So talk to me a little about this, going back to the timeline. So you got the S10, you're rocking the black S10. In those days, right, I remember when I first lowered my S10, it was pretty slammed, and I had 15s on it, and, I didn't get an alignment, my dumbass, right? When you guys were younger, and you were lowering the trucks, were you going up to the local alignment shop and getting them aligned, or were you guys, going through tires like I was?
No. We would go get them aligned. I had some nice 15-inch Kreger SSTs on mine, and I with the knockoffs on it.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Ooh, that was cool, huh?
Yeah.
But man, we'd go get them aligned. Once we dropped them like that, there was certain guys with the pups and the older Nissans and the Datsuns and stuff. They would drop them to the ground, slammed, taking up reflectors off the road on Friday and Saturday night. On Sunday, they'd raise it back up and drive it to work.
Right.
But it was that's just how we rolled back then.
The good old torsion bars, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I quote adjustable suspension, right?
Yes.
In that era, so we had Johnny Garage Johnson on, and I love his YouTube channel, and he's arguably the biggest S10 fiend anywhere. I mean, he's constantly finding the cameos and these rare trucks and stuff, so shout out to him. But in that era, were there certain things or mods, where you guys oh man, I want to get a cab visor, no, I'm going to get the little, remember the things that went over the doors that kind of hung down? They were the tinted things that, today they're maybe not as cool. Were there certain accessories that you guys were oh, I'm going to get the little headlight covers, or what?
Headlight covers.
There you go, right?
Headlight covers, and you get the smoked wind air dams and things like that. A lot of chrome, you get your chrome door handles, get a different grill or something put in there. A lot of things like that. I had fog lights or driving lights on mine, and the headlight covers and the smoke tail light covers. It was definitely an experience. But, I drove the truck every day. We drove our trucks every day. And the underneath of my truck was pink, and of course it was splatter painted. Mm. So, at these shows back in the day, we would take our wheels and tires off like some do now.
Yep.
But we'd have the big displays and things like that. I couldn't do that now. It would kill me.
I know. We'd be so tired by the time we got the wheel off,
Yeah.
That's why I give credit to like Eddie Gordy and some of the guys still doing it, because, I mean, even Tom Jenkins that owns Far From Losing now, the amount of time and effort to get there early, jack it up, sure they might have a friend help them here and there, maybe not, but it's still, it's a dedication.
That's a lot.
And I'm the type of guy, everybody makes fun of me. It's like, I just want to get there, air it out, and start going taking photos of everything else. Like, I'm not there to see my own stuff,
Exactly. Yeah, I'm just there, wipe it down, make sure everything's good, and then, head out.
Now, I think what we're going to talk about in a little bit will tie into kind of the simpler times, right? Something that you're kind of working on now. But do you ever have, I know when I think back to when I was first working on my truck, I do reminisce from that era a little bit, because I remember taking the grill off in the bumper and like taking it to the paint shop, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll paint it this week." And I remember driving around for like 5 days without the grill, and like the headlights were dangling, and the little turn signals, and I was like so embarrassed. Like I was like, "Dude, my truck looks like crap right now," right? But do you ever, it was kind of cool because you drop the parts off, or the homie, and they're going to get them done, and then that weekend you're bolting them on for the cruise that night. I kind of longed for those days a little bit when it was, a lot of people will say simpler times. Do you guys ever have, or do you ever have, that thought process of like, man, it was a simpler time?
It was. Yeah, I mean, like you say, you drop stuff off and you wait for it to get done. Or if you got your truck tore apart or your car tore apart, but you're sitting at your friend's house and the part's not there, you're not able to get it till the next day. It's okay. You can ride with them, and you're going to have your stuff back, and it's going to be nice the way you want it, the following day or the day after. But your friends are there to help you out, and those were good times, man. A lot of good times, a lot of good friends from back in the day.
Yeah, a lot of good camaraderie. Talk to us about talk to us. So, like, what ends up with the S10? Do you ride out with that a while and then you let it go? Like, where do things go from there, Mark?
Yeah, I had in 1992, I ended up selling the truck, and I went and got a 84 S10 and was driving it for a while. Then, of course, I met my wife in 93, and I was like, well, I'll have a family to raise,
sure.
So kind of stayed out of it for a bit. Did my my firefighting career and did that, and moved to Tennessee. Stayed in Tennessee for 11 years, where I worked for I worked for NASCAR and NHRA. Did the safety safari and extrication specialist for Bristol Motor Speedway. So and then I came back down here, and my first show back, I went to Billy at Slam Fest, and I was like, I'm ready to find something. And that's when I found my night train from Rob and Crystal.
Wow. So that's talk to us about the year, make, model of the dime.
It is a 2003 Extra Cab S10, bagged all the way around, full custom interior. It's exactly what I wanted. It was turnkey, because I don't have the money or the time or the place to even build something,
sure.
Which I would love to do, which, I'm sure we'll get into that here in a minute. But, I wanted something that I might have to get painted. I might have to do this and that to get it to lay frame, whatever I need to do. But as long as I have it in my grasp, now I can do it. It's my first air ride truck. I love it. And, it's a never ending project.
Yeah, it is. And Vic told me this a long time ago, black paint is not easy to maintain, is it?
No, it's not. No, it's not. Especially, I used to drive the truck every day. I drove the truck almost every day for 2 years. And, down I-4. Oh, my God. I went through 2 windshields. multiple paint chips, and I just try to cover them up, wax it and buff it the best I can, and just drive it.
Yeah, and you have the 4.3 in there?
Yeah, I have 4.3. Yep.
Yep, and the engine bay looks great. I think the thing that stands out to me, yeah, no problem. The paint is great, right? So it's black. It's such a cool thing with the contrast with the billet wheels. But the interior is really over the top. Was that part of the turnkey truck? Because my understanding was
yes.
you had a lot of that done too, though, right? Some of the stuff.
No. Rob had already done most of all the interior.
Okay.
The only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to touch up, do some other painting, the cowl and maybe the dash bezel and the center console. I want to get that done. But, yeah, it has the full LED lights inside. Stereo is amazing. Rob done an excellent job on the stereo. It sounds like a concert when you're sitting in there. It's got the Starry Night headliner. And, I really enjoy the truck. My wife enjoys the truck, and we cruise it as often as we can.
Yeah, and give a huge shout out to Rob, because keep me honest, Rob's the bigger guy, the kind of the taller dude. That's the interior guy, right? I met him a couple times. He's always cool to talk with. Why don't you give him a shout out? Because he does some killer work. Yeah,
Rob, he does all of the stereo work, interior work. His building of boxes and the sound systems are just absolutely amazing. I'm really over the top with the way he done the stereo.
Yeah, and he's been around, if I remember, a long time. Like I said, he does a lot of awesome stuff. Now, do you have, you've established, hey, turnkey, you're keeping the truck maintained, you're representing hardcore minis and, now known, I think, as hardcore. But do you anticipate changing much of it? I don't know that you need to, but I got to ask since you're a mini trucker.
Yeah, you can't keep it the same way. But I'm looking, whenever it goes to paint, I'm looking to add some metal flake to it. I'd like to change the bed. The bed's nice, but the rear roll pan, I want to do some different tail lights. Mm-hmm. And eventually, I don't know when, but eventually I'm wanting to body drop it and possibly put an LS in it.
Damn, awesome. Yeah, so you kind of have some of the stuff, the things that maybe a little bit further down the tunnel, but, you could still, that's why I tell people, enjoy your stuff now if you can. And if you do blow it apart, we've all been there. I've been there, certainly. Try to maintain the project the best you can so that it's not, because, you start getting down a year, 2 years, 3 years, stuff starts getting kind of derailed. But it sounds like you got a little bit of a plan to be able to do it. Of course, you got some good connections. And, Tim, of course. Tim's a great guy. And if you got Tim and Jimmy and Billy and some of those guys on your side, man, you got the A-team.
Yeah, they're the best for sure. I could have done a lot of things I've done with the truck on my own. Tim has helped out considerably. It didn't lay frame when we first got it, and that's one of the goals that I had. And Tim had taken out the front tubs, moved everything, rebuilt. Got a custom AC box for it, so I still got factory air, factory heat. And the tubs that he made, there, I can unbolt them and take them out later on, because I do plan on painting those and doing some more engine bay work. But with Billy and Tim and all those guys, I couldn't have done it without them.
Yeah, and shout out to Tim, Drop, DROP, Dime, all together. He's one of your hardcore brothers.
Yes.
Tim, as I've given a shout out in the past, I always give credit where credit's due. Tim and Jimmy, they helped. Tim did a lot on it as well, as my understanding. About a year and a half ago when I took my S10 over there, kind of do a punch list. And like you said, they're great people. They know what they're doing. They'll research something if they don't. But, it's the A-team right there. Chip Foose had his A-team. We got our mini truck and A-team over here. We don't need BA brackets.
Exactly. Exactly. I totally agree with you.
All right, and if Tim listens, Tim, you got to get my car in Jimmy's. Let's get it bagged, man. I got the whole kit, man. Come on, man. Let's knock it out. You got to throw that in there. But
you got to do it.
Yeah, you got to do it. Now, like I said, dude, like your S10, it's the word that comes to mind to me is classy. It's black paint. It's got, some of the red hues as far as the interior, the super nice wheels, the billet wheels and stuff. And, every time I see it, dude, we always chat, even if it's quick. Yep. And it's just one of those trucks that I go, hopefully it's getting the credit it deserves because it's such a clean truck. You go, you represent the scene. Not all of us can go to every show, and none of us ever claim to do that. But for your longevity to be able to do this, and you work, like you said, a whole nother career in the firefighting. So thanks again for kind of being that first responder, firefighter. It's not an easy job, but you got all that under your belt, and you're out there enjoying the mini trucks, man, hanging with your friends.
Absolutely, yeah. I wouldn't change it in a minute. I just absolutely love this scene. I love the people that is in it now. That's why I have both of my sons in it. That's huge to me. That means a lot, and to keep that going, and just to see the clubs and everybody get along and get together at these shows, it's just amazing. Never would have thought back in the day that it would turn to this and be this important to everybody.
I agree. Hey, little old me, jabroni from high school, going to a car show, thinking I'd get a chance to interview people and do a podcast. I mean, who would have ever thought we'd be, my dad used to say, this is the best minute, the best second ever in the history of the world. And we're in it. We're living it.
I didn't even know I was going to ever be on a podcast, so here we are.
Dude, it's awesome, Mark. We're talking with Mark Bishop. In just a minute, I want to talk about your family a little bit before we end, but so, okay, you got this killer S10, right? Extended cab. But a little birdie told me that you kind of had something else. I don't know how much you want to share with it. I think there's a cool little thing, but how excited? Talk to us a little bit about what you want to share.
I will start out with saying that, I needed a daily driver, and a car wasn't going to get it. Being me, a mini trucker, I had to have a mini truck.
Yeah.
So, we were just kind of kicking it around, and all of a sudden I was going to buy a Blazer. I was like, I don't know if I want a Blazer. So, lo and behold, Mr. Weekly calls me and says, hey, I just got an email that I was fixing to delete, but I think you need to check into this. So,
we're buying property in Africa, right? For like $1. No, just kidding.
Exactly. So, I was like, it sounds like a scam to me, brother. So let's, you and your wife, Kelly, which did a phenomenal job on everything that she'd done to have this truck get to me as we speak today.
Okay.
This guy had lived over in England. Well, his family lived over here. They had a timeshare in Davenport. So what had happened is she ended up getting sick, his mother. Wow. So they had to sell it, and he drove the truck when he come down here, and it was at the Power Tour 2011.
Damn.
Yeah, the last time the truck was registered was 2013. It hadn't been on the road in 10 years.
Wow.
So what happened is he emailed Billy and said, hey, I've got a storage building. There's a truck in there, and I just really need to get it cleaned out because I've been paying on this since 2013.
Okay.
Same storage unit. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because it was a storage unit, not like a car note.
Right. It was a storage unit. So he had been paying from England on this whole time. So Billy was like, yeah, let's check it out. So Kelly emailed the guy back. They sent messages back and forth.
Yeah.
Well, the guy sent a picture of the title, a picture of the registration, a picture of his driver's license, the note for the storage unit. So we were like, okay, maybe this is real. Let's go check it out.
Yeah, and how did Billy connect? How did Billy originally connect with them? Was it like, did he know Billy was in the trucks, or like, was there?
He stated in his note, and I've got the note, and the next show that we're going to be together, I'm going to bring you all this information so you can check it out.
Yeah.
It's really cool. But Billy messaged the guy back and said, okay, yeah, we were, he recognized Hardcore from years back from being in in the States.
Wow.
And and he was like, "You guys seem like a really good club. I've got this vehicle here. I'm not going to be able to do anything with it. I intended on sending it to England, but it's just too much, and he has a family now, so he can't afford it." So, him and Billy talked back and forth. So, like I said, we ended up going over to the storage unit, and Billy asked me if I wanted the truck. He goes, "You help me clean out the storage unit, you can have the truck."
Really?
And yeah, he was like, "I have no use for it, no place to put it, and I don't have time."
Man. That's awesome.
Oh man,
you talk about looking out.
Yeah, and he's always done that. He's always been like that with me, and with the others, in the club and things like that. He's him and Kelly. They're really good-hearted people, and they're friends till the end.
Wow. So like, what's your mind like? You're thinking, hey, mini truckers. That's like you're talking a Mazda extra cab, right? That's like hitting the lotto, dude. I mean, you got to be like cloud nine, dude. You're like going, okay, man, we're doing this, we're doing the mini trucker in you.
It felt like I was cheating on my S10 though. I was like, oh man, I got to bring her ugly sister home, So,
right.
But it was. It's a 1990 Mazda SE5 extra cab. It's super clean. There's a couple little dents, of course. It's a 1990.
Yep.
But, I took the stereo. He had a huge kicker box with two 12s and an amp in the back. I took that out. Me and Cody took that out last night and raised up the compartment in the back under the seats. The jack and everything is brand spanking new, never been touched.
Wow.
It's got 151,000 miles on it, and he just replaced the clutch, pressure plate, and throwout bearing before he went over there. So what do? Automatically, I put a 4-inch block in the back and drop the torsion bars.
Yeah, buddy.
So, I sent it to Tim, and Tim I've replaced everything on the front end, upper, lower ball joints, everything, new gas tank, new fuel pump. Matt, that's with our club, he also helped me out a bunch. When I first got the truck, I was like, man, I just don't know if I want to start it. And he come over to the house. We gave it a quick tilt bed to check out the fuel situation. Mm-hmm. And, huge shout out to Matt. That was, that really helped me out a bunch and got me on the road to where I'm at now. And I just drove it home from work. I started driving it yesterday.
Dude. Oh, really? So just this week. Okay.
Yeah.
And
it's been 2 months.
And you said it was it's a stick.
Yeah, it's 5-speed, which I don't. Now I do remember why I never liked a 5-speed in I-4 traffic, but it's all good.
Yeah, it's funny because when I got the 90 Mazda, I hadn't driven a stick since I had the Amigo many, many, many years ago, and the truck got delivered over here, and I went for the first drive, and I was like, man, I don't know if I remember how to drive this, and it was like, boom, it was like you learn it, just getting up from bed, and walking. I was like, yeah, I know how to do this, and it was kind of cool, Now, granted, I'm not in a lot of traffic, but it brought back a lot of memories of being like, even you having like the later model truck, kind of early 2000s. Those trucks in that era, they're a little bit more, what's the word, primitive maybe, where like when you're driving it, you kind of feel the road and stuff, and I appreciated that kind of as a throwback mini,
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is we come from static vehicles. We come from dropping them with blocks and heating up the springs, cutting the coils and whatnot. Now I've got an air ride truck. No, it doesn't ride anything like an air ride truck, but the appreciation and the nostalgia and knowing what you've got underneath you and just being able to drive and cruise and just people coming by giving you a thumbs up, and it's a great thing. I love that little truck, and I love the people that help me get it to where it needs to be.
Yeah, I'm happy for you. It's kind of a reddish color, right? Is it reddish orange? I think it's red.
It's fire engine red.
Fire engine red. Yeah, good color for you. And like you said, you can kind of we kind of established earlier with the bikes and the BMX stuff, you can kind of relive, I don't want to say your childhood, but our younger years, right? I think is a better way to put it. And kind of get back to our roots a little bit. And then, hey, when you want to drive the bag deal, you jump in the other one. So it's kind of that cool, balance that you have now.
Exactly. Yeah. You can kind of switch off what you want to do. If you want to fill every bump, then get in the red truck.
Yeah. Now, if anybody's got a topper out there for a Mazda, I'll take it. Don't call Mark. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, you can call me. That's cool.
Hey, I'll take it, man. Let me give you my number. No, I'm just kidding. No, but seriously, I mean, it is neat. The one I got doesn't have the little, I call them jump seats in the back. I think they were removed. But a lot of the other stuff's there. I got to put the AC in it. It was kind of some of the stuff under the hood was removed. But, the trucks, it's crazy. When I think back to when I was younger, old friend of mine, going back many years, his name was Nathan. His parents always had like 87 Corollas and 88 Hondas and all this. And I used to look at those cars all those years later and go, man, the dashes look new. Like whatever they were injecting into their stuff, wasn't like what the Americans were doing with our stuff. Because, you'll look back at the trucks of that era and the dashes are just thrashed. A lot of these, now, of course, that's kind of a lower mile truck, but still, even 250,000 miles, you'll see these trucks and you go, man, the dashes aren't cracked and stuff like that.
Yeah, but the only thing wrong with the red truck, the Mazda, is the carpet. It definitely needs to be replaced from stains. But there's one tear in the driver's side seat. It's still got the jump seats in the back. They look brand spanking new. The whole interior looks immaculate. The dash, everything works on the truck. Even the clock on the dash, still works. Got air conditioning, everything. I mean, it's just
time capsule.
It's amazing. Yeah, absolutely.
That's very cool. Well, I'm excited for you, man. I want to talk a little bit about your family before I let you go. But, dude, okay. I announced this earlier. I'm going to ask Biggity Mike the Mayor's out this week. So I was going to see if you want to play some trivia this week, man. Are you ready?
Sure. Yeah, I can give it a shot, brother.
Now it's time to get serious.
Dude, and I don't know. The good thing is, if you don't get it right, it kind of makes me excited because then we get to take a tick mark from Mike's binder. But I have a feeling you may know this one. But I just thought of it today. I was like, man, I'm having Mark Bishop on. We're chatting with him now. And you have a little connection to this place out in that area. And I wanted to ask if you happen to know what year Walt Disney World in Florida opened.
1971.
Dude, I think you got it. As far as my intel, I think is from where I've seen it was 10/1/1971. And here's a fun
1971.
One of my best friends, John, his parents were both there on opening day, they told me, but they weren't together. Wow. They hadn't met. They both drove over because it was such a big thing. But the reason why I asked you that is because your family, like you said earlier, well, I think before we started, you had mentioned your family has worked there a long time, but I think your mother-in-law even worked there back to almost that year.
Yeah, she actually started working there in 1973.
That's sick, dude. That's crazy.
And now my wife works there, my son works there, and my daughter-in-law works there.
Yeah, and here's a bonus for Mike if you can get this. Do you remember in the beginning, I've heard the stories about how the ticketing system was? Mm-hmm. It was like, what do you remember about that?
I remember each ride you had to have an e-ticket.
Yeah, an e-ticket. And you couldn't, if you bought, it wasn't like what it was today, I don't think. Like, if you bought a ticket to get into a theme park, it's like, okay, you're full board, you go ride the roller coaster. But it wasn't like that.
No, not at all. No, you had to have certain tickets, e-tickets and things for the different rides.
Crazy, dude. Yeah, you got it, man. I appreciate you playing this week. Mike's going to be happy.
Good.
Before we end, you mentioned, your sons, I know Cody's a mini trucker, your oldest son, he's, are working on a truck with a grandson. Talk to us a little about your family, because I know you're proud of them, and your sons and then your grandson, I know, has had a lot of things that he's had to battle through.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, to start out with Cody, he's got him a little 1992 Isuzu Pup, regular cab. He absolutely loves the truck. He loves the truck scene. He's all about it. And that's the way I, taking him to shows, and he really enjoys that that time together, with the old pops and whatnot. So, and my other son, John, which lives right outside of Atlanta, he bought Cody's old 95 S10.
Oh, really? That was the one that was that small town throwdown a couple years ago?
Exactly. Yep. That's the one he bought. So he got that, and the reason why he got it is he wanted to start working on it with my grandson, Little John. A lot of people know that Little John has had quite a journey. He had a brain tumor removed, and he absolutely loves the truck. He was 2 years old when he went into surgery. A lot of doubt and what could be. There's still a lot of unknowns. We've got some issues that he has to work out. That we found out this weekend. Hopefully, in prayers, that everything will turn out to be okay. But for that little guy, to go out and say that he wants to start his truck, he wants to ride in his truck with his dad, and listen to Slaughter to Prevail. We FaceTime with our masks. They bought me a mask, and he's got a gold one, I got a red one.
That's awesome.
And it's the little things like that, and I've got 10 grandkids. So I'm hoping that I can get some more into the mini trucking.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I asked everybody to say some prayers for little John out there. I'll do that. And, I have been. And, it's tough. I think, before we started, we kind of had a quick conversation where it's like, oftentimes we could think, man, I'm having a bad day. I'm a little stressed, but you got to think sometimes you got to stop and kind of go, man, like, okay, I'm dealing with a tough client, or I'm having a bad day with my supervisor, whatever. But there's always people out there that have it tougher, and there's nothing more tough to me that kind of you got to fight back the tears sometimes. It's just seeing a little one. There's a guy at my work, Pete, his grandson, Landon, he has something to do, he has some sort of cancer, and he's just a little guy, and they thought he was like totally done. And he got down to towards the end, and they're like, dude, they started realizing, and he can't be around a lot of people and stuff like that, but he's like a little trooper. Pete tells me about him. And I think to myself, like that's the stuff right there, whether you're a parent of a kid like that or a little kid that's just, your future's unknown, you just got to sometimes go, you know what, maybe someone cutting you off in the car wasn't such a big deal, because you got bigger things in life to really focus your time and energy. And people that are complaining about things, I sometimes go, you know what, focus that energy instead of complaining about something. I try to do this too, like, throw together a little car show to bring some smiles to a kid's face, or I know the Spark Show, they've done some things, with the Pops, and raising those for the local charity and stuff. Like, to me, it's like if you can channel your energy into a positive versus the negative, it's going to help little kids like little John, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And, he's coming down in October. He wants to, they want to go to Slam Fest, and I'm trying to get my son to bring him back down in January. So, that way he can bring his truck. He wants to show his truck. So, awesome. I'm hoping that we can make that work for Eastbound Get Down. That'd mean a lot to him.
Very cool. I tell you what, I met some of your family. It was Cody, right? That was he got engaged at Small Town Throwdown, right? When the crew was throwing that. And I thought that was really cool. And, he's always got great things to say every time I see him. And, you've done a lot of work. You think about it, it's not easy to raise a family, right? And have a career. And now you're kind of on your second career. And, you were in the trucks and you took a little break like many of us do, but you're back, and you're enjoying it. Yeah. So to me, like, it's a tip of the cap to a guy like you that is a hardcore mini trucker, let's be honest. But, it brings you a lot of joy, not only to you, but we've learned it's trickling down to even your grandson.
Yeah, absolutely. And, just like the stresses in life, the things that I've seen being in the fire service, things that I had gone through, even my family had gone through, You know, they had gone through it with me through all the years of doing it. Going to a show is a huge stress relief. The driving the truck, just getting out and just riding down the road with just your music turned on and just cruising, and that's the best feeling in the world.
Dude, that's like a mic drop right there, man. We need to put that on a sticker somehow, man. We need to get some digital stickers, man, with you saying that. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
$100 stickers. Come and get them.
Yeah, man.
You got free crackers, $10 waters, and $100 stickers, buddy.
There you go. That's it.
Mark, listen, I appreciate you sharing your story, and you know, to your grandson, little John, you know, we'll continue to wish him the best. It's cool to hear John and Cody are so ingrained into mini trucks, and why don't you give a huge shout out to your wife? I know she's put up with you for 30 plus almost.
Oh, yeah, man, yeah.
Well, almost
October
30.
Actually, October will be 25 years married.
Wow.
So.
Wow, congrats.
Yeah, that's, man, I'm just looking forward to many, many more. She's a blessing, and, you know, I couldn't have done this without her.
Dude, well, listen, man, I can't wait to hang out with you at the next show. It's always great, and, you know, certainly appreciate your friendship and you just being a true hardcore mini trucker, let's be honest. But tip of the cap to all the hardcore crew out there, I guess pun intended. There's a lot of good ones, including Billy and Tim, and a lot of good guys out there. So just keep doing what you do, Mark, and if you ever want to get rid of the Mazda, give me a call. Just kidding.
Yeah, we'll do it, brother. But thank you very much, Jason. I greatly appreciate it.
Stay on the rise. Everyone enjoy the weekend. Again, September 11th is coming up. Be thankful for what you got. There's a lot of people that we lost 21 years ago. And Mark, many blessings to your family, brother.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate it.